Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary Cry News Talk live stream pre-stream. Congratulations, you're just a little bit early. And as usual, I want to remind you, if you haven't done it yet, you need to follow us on multiple platforms. That includes twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio, as well as youtube.com/Canary Cry Radio. We're also over there on Periscope and DLive and Facebook. We're all over the place. It's a good idea to follow us on multiple platforms to make sure you get the notifications. And big old congratulations to Gen V over on Periscope for first comment of the day. Congratulations, Gen V. Your check is in the mail. And a couple other little reminders. Today will be a double feature for Canary Cry News Talk and Canary Cry Radio. So make sure to stay tuned after the Canary Cry News Talk episode. And as always, make sure to stay hydrated, folks. It's going to be a long one.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
Hey everybody, you are listening to Canary Cry News Talk, and today is January 8th, 2020, episode 284, and today, the Insurrection of the Dead. And I'm not via Getty, but I am your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious chaos with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. We're back. We did it. We survived. Yep. And things just keep happening, Gonz. That's the thing about doing a news show. There's always more news. Yeah, nothing is slowing down. 2021 seems to just be one big blur of like 2020 squared is what we're seeing so far. Yeah. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about now. Just to give everybody a heads up, today is a very special day. We will be, we're going to be doing a lot of updates to follow up on the Wednesday's events over there at the Capitol. A lot of things to catch up on in regards to more information being available about that incident and surrounding incidences. And then the Canary Cry News Talk portion of today's broadcast will be a little bit shorter than usual, but that's good news because we just need to make time for the Canary Cry Radio episode that will be broadcasting immediately after. So once this show is done, don't go anywhere. Just stay right where you are because we'll be talking to Timothy Alberino, friend of the show, and dashing adventure man. Yeah, explorer extraordinaire turned author.
Yes.
So we're good
been
friends
a while,
with Tim.
Been a few years.
Yeah. 2015 is when we last interviewed Tim on Canary Cry Radio. I think I've had him on the Face Like the Sun channel once or twice since then, but we're going to talk about his book Birthright, which is a fantastic book. I got through most of it, and I'm very jealous. I'm jealous that he wrote it and I didn't.
Well, before we get into the show here, I just want to remind everybody, especially over on YouTube, if you're watching the live broadcast, it will help us so much if you hit that like button early. It tells the algorithms that we're worth a shot, and it'll share the show with other people. So if you don't mind helping us out, hit that like button. Thank you very much.
And if you want to click more, you can like, subscribe, bell, and hit all.
Bell button, yeah. See, I didn't even know the bell button was a thing.
Well, you got to hit bell, and then you got to hit all, so you get all the notifications.
I feel so old.
They just made it hard for every. I mean, that was like 2 years ago, and once that happened, I was like, whatever. And they keep my channel, Face Like the Sun channel, in the 263,000 number. They've capped me
Yes, they've capped you.
I have not been able to break 200. Well, I got over 264,000 once when I stopped publishing videos or live streaming the podcast on the channel. And as soon as I started doing that again, right back down, unsubscribe like 200-300 people a day. And
You
just keeps me
thought
right in
you
that
could
range.
get away with it.
I know. What do I expect from YouTube?
What a silly idea they would let you post videos on YouTube.
You know those. You know what I hear about Susan and all those YouTube head people over there. Have you heard?
No.
He's a Satanist.
All of them.
You're gonna get in trouble.
I know.
Okay. Well, let's. We should probably just jump right into it.
Let's do it. We have a bunch of, I guess, election. We don't have a proper jingle other than the election voter fraud jingle, so we'll just play that.
And so my question is very direct. Is voting by mail secure?
No.
And of course, the 6th of January, we saw the chaos ensue. We were sitting here live. You guys were all with us as we watched everything take place. And, Grace over at Really Graceful pointed this out. She has a video on it as well. But there's a book that was written about 100 years ago, over 100 years ago, 120 years ago. And it's called The Last President by Ingerson Lockwood. And in the book, as I'm trying to scroll through the PDF here, Ingerson Lockwood is the author that also wrote Baron Trump's Adventures or something like that. The time-traveling kid named Baron Trump.
The Adventures of Baron Trump, I think. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and she pointed out, which is very eerie, is that part of the story in The Last President, they basically destroy the Capitol as part of the last president, the last situation that takes place. So I got a couple things here from the book, and it says, the new year, the new century was born, but with the last stroke, a fearful and thunderous discharge as of 1,000 monster pieces of artillery shook the Capitol to its very foundations, making the stoutest heart stand still and blanching cheeks that had never known the coward color. The dome of the Capitol had been destroyed by dynamite. So not quite that dramatic, but still interesting.
Well, it depends who you listen to. You listen to some of the mainstream media outlets. It was worse than 9/11.
This was Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, jeez.
And there's another section here. In a few moments, when it was seen that the chamber had suffered no harm, the leader of the House moved the final passage of the act. The president was led astray, and the Republican senators and representatives passed slowly out of the disfigured Capitol, while the tellers prepared to take the vote of the House. So I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely weird that a book 100 years ago that by an author that also wrote about Baron Trump, time traveling into Middle Earth or Center or Hollow Earth or whatever, also had a book about the last president and how the last moments of that last president was the Capitol falling
what's
apart.
the name of that author again?
Ingerson Lockwood.
You should probably look into that guy a little
Or
bit
Ingerson.
more.
Ingerson or Ingersoll. I thought it was Ingersoll. I wrote Ingerson in the notes. But anyway, yeah, just something to poke around if you're bored and you want to go into a rabbit trail.
I want to get a hard copy. Do you think hard copies are available?
Yeah, that's probably expensive now.
Yeah.
Because it's all people want to have hard copies of it. But
The Last President.
yeah, go look for it on Scribd
go
or
check
something.
eBay.
Yeah, eBay.
Oh, speaking of eBay, I don't think you had it in the notes here, but the speaker's lectern got put on eBay.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah, I noticed. I didn't know that was real. I thought that was a fake thing.
Well, from what I saw, I read a thing. It said it was up there. The price started at, I think, $450, and it got up to $100,000 before eBay took it down.
Well, that's stolen by Via Getty, right? Via Getty took it.
Yes, via Getty, notorious podium thief.
You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I'll start with via Getty. So those who don't know, I had a lot of people trying to convince me that I was via Getty. I am not via Getty. for those who just are wondering. But we can look at the tweet over here. New York Post. Twitter users mistake via Getty for name of Capitol rioter. And this all came from, Getty Images. For those who may not know how this system works, you can, if you're out, you're taking pictures, you can pretty quickly sell your pictures to Getty Images, especially if you have an account. And a lot of people try to make their money that way. And this guy who stole the podium, I saw it with the podium guy as well as Buffalo Head guy. I'm not sure exactly which one they are referring to. It could have been both. But Twitter users, in their outrage about seeing these pictures happening in the Capitol, Getty Images puts a little watermark that says via Getty in their pictures. And the people just thought it was that guy's name. And it's just so silly.
Yeah. So somebody tweeted out, what kind of name is via Getty? Another guy, I like this guy. His name is via Getty. Says it right there in the original tweet. Dummy. Like these virtue signaling Twitter folks that.
So dumb.
Yeah, I mean, reading Twitter sometimes you realize I don't like doing that a whole lot because you start identifying with the elite. You sit there, you're like, it does make sense.
We should invite fewer people to be born.
You know what I mean?
I'm always surprised. Twitter's a weird place. You'll get people who are very, very passionate, but you just really realize how dumb some people can be sometimes.
Yeah.
But it makes life exciting. Dumb people make life exciting.
I know. It's unfortunate. Somebody in the chat really wants us to talk about Biden.
Okay. What do they want us to say?
I don't know. I recently clipped his hairy legs thing. We should refresh on that.
Speak about Biden. Talk about
Biden.
I don't think we cannot talk about Biden, so we'll get there, folks. Speaking of via Getty, there was a Buffalo Horn guy. He was an interesting fellow. Yes, he was the other one. A couple of things to make a note of with him. Let's see here. We got a tweet that kind of condenses a lot of them. This is from President-elect Dick Hertzer. He's got a bad word in his username.
His username is not show friendly.
No, not for children. So let's see here. He reposted images of some other tweets. One says, the bad guys didn't want today's vote to happen. They planned on using Antifa to infiltrate the Capitol to delay it. They are now painting it as if my brother stormed the Capitol and took control. LMAO. But what actually happened was that the bad guys paid off people to let the crowds through the barriers so they could claim that Trump supporters stormed the Bastille. What they didn't know is that many of these people they paid and hired were actually the good guys undercover. In doing so, the bad guys openly committed treasons, which allowed for our military to take over and do so without any violence or loss of life. Wow. Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of different angles that are being given on this
Horns guy.
The Horns guy.
Yeah. So one of the first ones I saw was that it shows the Horns guy and then like a profile of him as like a voice actor, and it kind of confirms there's another actor. It's kind of a popular thing in the conspiracy circles. Anytime something happens and anytime there's suspected false flag or purposeful activity, they look to find if the instigators are people on IMDb or, have some kind of acting profile, which a lot of times they do, which doesn't help the non-conspiracy folk to consider it as a purposeful thing. But this case, it's almost like I saw that take over the conversation for a little while, and then the alleged sister came out with this tweet, and it kind of flips it around a little bit.
Yeah. Well, there was also another flip, which was, people were, of course, saying that he was Antifa, and they found a photo from him in his same outfit from a Black Lives Matter protest. Turns out, from what I was able to discern, he was actually counter-protesting at that Black Lives Matter protest. So he was there, but I think he was still under the he was counter protesting Black Lives Matter or Antifa, I'm sure is what he would refer to. And read a thing that he's actually a Marine or was a Marine. And then the conspiracy theories spiraled from there. So, pretty interesting guy. One thing of note was the triangle tattoo, which a lot of people immediately jumped on and said that it was a Pizzagate symbol.
Yeah, pedogate symbol.
Which it is not. So actually what it is the Velknut symbol, which is I'll just read it here. The most common meaning that people do give their Velknut tattoos is the classic one. They are honoring a deceased loved one or friend. This is especially true for people who have lost someone who died in a war, since Velknut is largely associated with battles. It's a Viking symbol. It's also kind of tied in, with a lot of Viking lore and magic and things like that. And it can mean lots of different things, but it's commonly used, especially with military dudes, as sort of a remembrance of a lost brother or loved one or something like that. Yeah. So yes, not a Pizzagate symbol, just for those who. Now there was also a couple of pictures that popped up with Buffalo Horns guy. One with Rudy Giuliani. Yeah.
See, I was going to mention, why do these guys always have pictures with very high level politicians, and it's just strange how they all seem to run in the same circle, even if this guy's like, whatever side he's on, he seems to have been known.
It kind of looks like the picture with him and Giuliani kind of looks like Giuliani was signing books or something. Yeah. And he just showed up to, take a picture with them. But hold on one second. And there was another picture floating around, which I'm not sure if you have loaded up, but I'll send you a link here. But Buffalo Horn guy, I think it was on the day or a different day, he actually has a picture with, I believe, Nancy Pelosi's son-in-law.
Yep, I have it pulled up right here.
You do have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
His name is
that was pretty
Michael
weird
Voss or Mikhail Voss or something, yeah.
Now, that one actually looks like, because he's in his horned get-up. Yeah. That one looks like he may have just seen him like on the day and ran up and took a picture or something. I don't know. What do you think about that one?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just weird how these guys that get all the attention have these not necessarily relationships, but just very quickly you have pictures of them all around the internet with politicians, and it's just like the whole thing seems suspicious.
Weird, man.
Yeah, the whole thing is suspicious.
I wonder if what's Pelosi's daughter? What's the son-in-law's name?
Michael or Michael? I think Mitchell Voss. Michael Voss. Okay. I don't know.
Michael. Like the interesting thing with that is it looks like he's the one taking the selfie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, maybe he was like, "Oh, cool guy," and then he didn't realize, or I don't know. It's just the whole thing is.
Yeah, you never know. I also apparently Buffalo Horns guy shows up to a lot of Trump rallies. I've seen a lot of people talking about how they have seen him at this rally or that rally or this event or that event. So actually, apparently, a pretty prolific event goer. But the jokes are hilarious. And yes, the picture of him standing in the speaker's seat. It's just so epic. That's going to be in history books someday. Yeah. When they when the history books read that terrorists broke into the Capitol building and overtook the government, and they're going to have a picture of him standing there.
Right. Well, the narrative by his sister suggesting that he had a camera on and he was paid to rush in, and it's kind of like not a blackmail, but like a, trying to catch these people that are trying to instigate. Agent. Yeah, like a double agent.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Maybe. Of course, his sister has a lot of reason to try to, make him look as good as he can. But I heard somebody had a theory that, he didn't wear a shirt so he could prove that he wasn't wearing a wire, but his horns have cameras in them. Yeah.
Pretty awesome
Like, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
Anyway, we're spending too much time on Horns guy.
Well,
I think there's
how can you spend too much time on Horns guy? He was the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah, well, he resonates with your kind, so maybe.
Okay. Well, lastly, along the same lines, there were some other interesting people there. Of course, we've since the beginning, it's been theorized and noted that certainly there would be, some at least Antifa people there, which more than anything, that's not even conspiracy theory. That's just good strategy. I mean, if I was Antifa, I would send some infiltrators. It only makes sense.
Right.
But of course, you get called a conspiracy theorist for that. But over here on FoxNews.com, BLM activist Inside Capitol claims he was documenting riots. Once said, burn it all down. The article reads, an anti-Trump activist who once said he wanted to rip the president out of the office entered the Capitol building Wednesday alongside a mob of pro-Trump protesters, but he said he was just there to document it. Quote, there's this narrative going around right now that Antifa was the people there causing the riots, causing the tension. Yeah, imagine that. Why would anybody get that crazy idea? They were the only people breaking into the Capitol, and I wanted to be able to tell a part of history and show that that was anything but the case. Well, pretty strong words. John Sullivan, the founder of Utah-based Insurgents USA.
I know.
No, we're totally innocent. Yes, we're Insurgents USA. I'm just here to document. Insurgents USA describes itself as the revolution. It began protesting racial injustice in policing last year following the death of George Floyd, et cetera, et cetera. And it goes on, tells more about this guy. But this doesn't come as any surprise, but it is surprising that one actually came out and admitted it and wanted to talk about it.
Well, it's hard to deny. And when you look at the people that went in, and they're identified publicly. You have a whole populace watching.
Yeah,
it's hard to hide it unless you're even when you're wearing horns and color your face. It's hard to hide, especially if you have tattoos, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, this is no surprise, and it does feed into the narrative that it was sort of a controlled opposition, making it look bad for the Trump supporters there.
Sure. And, again, everything is sketchy, and we'll keep talking about it. We don't need to get off on tangents about it. But there was that video, which a lot of Trump supporters were very proud about, where there was a big crowd grouped around the front door of the Capitol building, and just one guy with a stick trying to break the windows out. And this old MAGA guy comes up to him and stiff arms him the hardest. I mean, this was some real old man strength, and just totally stiff arms this guy, takes him down, and gives him a very stern talking to about breaking the windows to the Capitol. Of course, the legit patriots are proud of having that on camera to show that they were not there to cause destruction, which is not a hard case to make, considering once there's only about 36 people who made it into the building. And my favorite video is when they got through the front doors and they just they stayed within the velvet ropes.
Right, they're walking through.
They're just walking.
They're quietly walking
politely,
through. Yeah,
staying within the tourism ropes.
Well, I'm kind of bummed.
Violent rioters, and they're surrounded by art and statues that you can just imagine in sort of some of the other riots we've seen. None of those statues would have made it.
Right, and part of it, I mean, we mentioned it in the last episode, pointing out the PBS NewsHour. The video in the background showing those protesters breaking in, walking through, inside the little red velvet ropes, and taking pictures of the statues with their phones, and then guy dressed in the cop, outfit, walking by as if nothing's going on, and then the anchor, the anchor's like, oh, they're breaking in, I'm getting messages from my producer and all this stuff. It's like, At least try a little harder with the
So
visuals.
silly, man.
Yeah.
This is worse than 9/11.
God.
No spray painting. Nobody was tagging the inside of the Capitol.
Yeah, I mean,
Just some,
if you were the opposition trying to make it seem more, like worse, yeah, go for it. Like, give him red spray paint. Tell him to spray paint MAGA all over the.
Well, there was one.
Oh,
there
there
was
was?
one thing. You know what? And I didn't bring the article. I apologize. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So there was a recent civil rights activist, an older guy who passed away. His name was John. Oh, man. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Somebody in the chat, if you know what I'm talking about. Give me this guy's name. So he was a civil rights activist, and I guess he had a little. They had a little plaque for him in there, and I guess somebody did deface that. Although I couldn't find any pictures of it. But I read an article that like somebody defaced that, and if that is the case, of which I still need to see a picture of it, that was the only thing anybody destroyed in there was this one thing of a civil rights activist. I don't understand. I mean, again, yeah, okay, maybe a racist got in there and just left everything but destroyed this one plaque, or maybe if somebody was in there trying to craft the narrative about racist terrorists breaking into the Capitol, they would target the one specific plaque. I don't know.
The thing that bothered me the most about John
Lewis.
Lewis. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I did see something on that. The biggest thing that really annoys me with this whole situation are sort of you can call them progressive-ish Christians that are on social media saying, see what happens when Christian nationalism takes over. And and then they got a picture of somebody waving the Jesus 2020 flag. There was like a Jesus flag that people were waving out there, and it bothers me because it's like, no, that's completely irrational thinking. Number one, you have a small group of people breaking in. You don't even know if they're actual supporters. But if you use that same logic, you can basically say, if let's say some black folks break into an apartment or something and steal and rampage, the same logic can be applied and say, see these black people, they're all dangerous criminals that want to take over.
Of course.
It's a horrible, I don't know, it's just so irrational that it just bothered me. Sorry, I had to get it off my chest.
Yeah, okay.
People,
no, I think everybody's on the same page. Yeah, it is. It just fits. It fits a narrative crafting narrative than it does an actual narrative.
Right.
That nothing else would be touched except for this. Yeah, and I'm looking at it right now. Here we go. Yeah, this was a tweet by leader Hoyer, Steny Hoyer. While rioters shamefully destroyed this tribute to my brother John Lewis yesterday, let his words continue to echo in the halls of Congress and in our hearts. Let us always stand up, speak up against against injustice and for our democracy. And he has a picture, and it's not defaced. Is
it before it was defaced?
It must be before picture, but why not?
Yeah,
why
put
not
it before
post
and
an
after
picture?
Yeah, before and after.
And yes, so the dedication, it wasn't even a plaque. It was like a printed out picture of the guy on an easel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's no pictures of it actually being defaced. So I don't know. Take it for what you will.
Just briefly, prayers go out to Ashley Babbitt and her family. That footage is pretty gruesome. I don't want to show it.
No, it's horrible footage. And the guy, notice how, at least as of this morning, I have not seen the name of the guy who shot her released. It was a Capitol police officer. And the footage of it, the dude is safely behind a locked door. I mean, of course, he must have been freaking out, thinking people were going to come in and get him. But yeah, totally unnecessary, him firing his weapon.
And
under any standards of self-defense or policing, that was an unnecessary discharge.
The part that really was confusing to me was she gets hit, she falls backward, she's on the ground, and you see kind of the horror that's happening around her. But there's all these armed cops behind her.
Right. I
So
know.
it's-
That's
so-
the crazy thing. The SWAT team
Yeah.
was right behind her. And the police officer, security guard, or whoever was inside the door shot at her, hitting her, but shot in the direction of his own
Right.
teammates.
Alleged teammates. It's just
He
a
panicked.
weird.
He just
yeah.
panicked, man. And that's and that's the problem. That's been the main problem with most of these policing incidences is they just panic and they fire their weapon when they didn't need to, and that's exactly what happened here. So, yes, our prayers go out to the Bobbitt's family and friends, and totally unnecessary and being used just in a disgusting way by the
it's
mainstream.
horrible. Mainstream, the social medias. No, nothing like, oh, that's what you get for being a Trump. Like, come on, folks.
Yeah. And yes, just because I see some people asking questions, a total of 5 people, I think,
Reported dying. Yeah.
One was the shooting, but the other ones were emergency. They were just random emergency things.
I thought somebody
not random. One guy tased himself on accident.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, one guy accidentally, at least that's what I saw reported. He tased himself in the groin on accident when he was
in the groin
climbing
too.
something. Yeah, or like something he was doing. Accidentally tased himself and then had a heart attack, which I don't mean to make light of. That's horrible that he died. But then they were described as medical emergencies, which, it's a shame. Again, an AOC had a tweet about this, how 5 people are dead because of Trump. Well, one was shot by the police unnecessarily on camera, and that's going to be a whole nother mess. The other 4 were medical emergencies, and the thing is, when you get thousands of people together, many of them being of older age, medical emergencies happen. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. But
I thought there was one that fell like 50 feet or something.
Yeah, probably. There's people climbing up things.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know all the stuff, but yeah.
Well, it's kind of like Burning Man. There's a certain number of deaths at Burning Man every year. And of course, when you hear that, you're like, oh, there's crazy hippies taking drugs. I mean, a lot of them are just old people who will have a heart attack or natural causes. You get 100,000 people in a place for 2 weeks. Yeah. Something just happens. Humans glitch once in a while.
I think what's going to be reported by the mainstream and all the lefty folk, especially the lefty folk, is they all died of COVID, which is Trump's fault.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's all Trump's fault. Orange man, bad.
Yeah, just wait until the reports of COVID surge because of Capitol siege.
Yeah. Okay, there's a few more things that we want to get through here. This one was very interesting. This was tweeted out by Disclose.tv. It's footage of Mike Pence shaking hands with, I don't know who he's shaking hands with. If someone in the chat knows, let us know. But with the shake of hand, he gets a little coin in his hand, which he slips into his pocket. And what's really fascinating about this is when Pence realizes that there's something in his hand, he kind of looks at it and like, oh, and the other guy with him is like, oh, hey now,
be cool, man, be cool.
Don't show it. It
looks like
there.
a drug deal.
It does look like a drug deal, and then it looks like Pelosi's jabbing him with her elbow. She's kind of like, hey.
I saw that. I think she was trying to get his attention because they were supposed to start speaking or something.
Sure.
But it certainly didn't look good. The optics.
No, the optics are horrible. And here's what I said was that, I don't know if you remember this, and maybe my memory is a little foggy too, because we've gone through thousands of news articles now, and it's just been a few years since a lot of stuff has happened. But I recall Tom Horn mentioning how when he was kind of digging around the Freemason type of stuff and really trying to not infiltrate, but sort of investigate some of their things, a alleged Freemason came out and gave him a coin and said, hey, if you ever find yourself in trouble, show this coin. It's like a get out of jail free
like
card.
John Wick.
Kind of, for like the Freemasons, like, hey, they're going to kill you. I got the coin. Somebody from the inside is protecting him. So maybe that's what this is for Pence for not turning on the Democrats and all the rest of them.
Sketchy, whatever it was.
Whatever it is,
somebody
very
in the
sketchy.
Somebody in the chat was saying I defend these guys too much. I'm not defending anybody, but we don't need to sensationalize every little thing. But this was pretty strange. Of course, I'm saying you see a lot of challenge coin stuff, maybe a Freemason coin of something. He was being rewarded for something for sure. Yeah. So you can really only make the connections from there.
And for sure, it's not a Bitcoin because you can't pass Bitcoin to one another with a handshake.
Maybe it was. It's a couple old guys. Maybe they don't really know what Bitcoin is.
Yeah. Not to be outdone, though, Mitch McConnell also had a very strange moment. And this is a video of Mitch McConnell speaking into the podium. Hold on, let me. I'm not going to play the audio because the narration and the music and all that is pretty dramatic. But he kind of looks behind him at some guy that's behind him, and you can't see his face, which doesn't help. And the guy gives a signal. He gives like that Freemason signal with the two hands, the thumb and the index finger touching. And then Mitch kind of turns back around like, oh, okay. Very strange.
Yeah. It was what a weird time to do it, too. Like, you couldn't wait until he wasn't standing elevated on a podium on camera.
I don't know, but...
Maybe it's supposed to be a public signal?
Maybe public signal, but yeah, these guys, do they not realize that they're on camera? Like, let me be sly. But no, it's pretty obvious. Yeah, the Jay-Z is the Jay-Z Illuminati symbol. And then and let's just get into some of the effects here, or what's taking place now, which is a lot of impeachment talk, a lot of 25th Amendment talk in the last couple days. This is APnews.com. The latest, Biden says second Trump impeachment up to Congress. And basically says the latest on the fallout of the storming of the Capitol by a mob of pro-Trump loyalists. President-elect Joe Biden says it's up to Congress whether to pursue a second impeachment of Donald Trump, but he expected lawmakers to be ready to move on his agenda as soon as he is inaugurated. Biden's comments to reporters came after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said in a Friday letter to lawmakers that House Democrats would move to impeach Trump again if he did not resign immediately. Pelosi and other lawmakers have pressured Trump to step down after Wednesday's attack on the U.S. Capitol by a pro-Trump mob that lawmakers in both parties said was incited by Trump. Yada, yada, yada. So here's the thing. This is what I've noticed from the right-wing side of the conversation. This type of hastiness to get Trump out of there. I mean, what's the point? There's 2 weeks left, right? Less than that. So it's like, why are they trying to get him out? Why are they trying to invoke the 25th Amendment and impeach him and get him out of there and all this stuff? And the narrative from the right wing holding on to any kind of hope is that it's because Trump can now, the only card he has left is the Insurrection Act. And, all the things, I don't know, a month ago we said, why isn't Trump doing it? Why is he waiting? And it could be that, the military basically told Trump, hey, go through the main ways to do this, local court, Senate, and it's kind of like the Trump card, the final Trump card.
Okay.
Yeah, only play it if you have to, kind of thing. And now that we're at this point, maybe he's planning to do that. I don't know. But
you're talking about doing the Insurrection
Act from the Trump side. So that's kind of the hope.
I want to go into the Insurrection Act, just for those who might not have a full picture of what exactly that looks like. But real quick, let's catch up on the 25th Amendment stuff.
Yeah.
One interesting thing that came out on WashingtonPost.com.
I want to go to WAPO first.
Yes. Let's go to WAPO first. Get me with the paywall. Good thing I had it open over here. Haha, WAPO. Interesting headline came out. There's no requirement to tell the public if the 25th Amendment is invoked. Ooh, as rioters waving Trump. Okay, I'm going to skip that first one. No, I'm not. As rioters waving Trump flags stormed the Capitol on Wednesday, the 25th Amendment was suddenly rocketing back into people's minds. Yes, it was only a matter of minutes before they started talking about the 25th Amendment. Section 4 of the amendment allows the vice president and cabinet to temporarily transfer the president's powers to the vice president. Several sources reported that cabinet members were actively discussing invoking Section 4 as effectively replacing President Trump with Vice President Pence. Then a more startling suggestion began circulating on Twitter that Section 4 had already been invoked. One data point driving that speculation was that the D.C. National Guard supposedly had been called up by Pence, not by Trump. Now that the dust is settled, these reports appear to be erroneous. It was the acting defense secretary who had called up the Guard, as he has the authority to do. He had consulted with Pence before doing so, but Pence was not exercising presidential power. Nevertheless, the idea raised an interesting question. If Section 4 is invoked, would we necessarily know? The short answer is yes, probably, but the longer answer is not as simple. The 25th Amendment does not have any sort of formal requirement of transparency. To invoke Section 4, the vice president and cabinet must transmit their declaration to the Speaker of the House and the president pro tempore of the Senate that the president is, quote, unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, which is a key phrase that we'll get into in a little bit. It is conceivable that all of these people could agree to keep the transfer of power under wraps. If the president's condition were temporary, for instance, it might not be worth alarming the public or roiling financial markets. Then they go through some more explanation of this and how it would be very hard to do because so many people need to know who is in charge. Right. That essentially what they're saying is they could try to keep it secret, but there's almost a 0% chance that it would stay secret for long. But then they end with this. In sum, while it is technically possible for Section 4 to be invoked without the public knowing about it, it is unlikely and unwise. The notion that there was a secret invocation this week appears to be more of the same wishful and conspiratorial thinking that has become such a hallmark of our times. And I thought this was interesting because that seems to be, if it were a conspiracy theory, not one that I had heard, but if it were one, it seems like a conspiracy theory that the left would be creating or latching onto. So this is kind of a WAPO anti-left conspiracy theory debunking, which I thought was interesting.
Well, maybe it's maybe they're trying to call the right wing who would say that the left are trying to invoke.
Right, sure.
They're the conspiracy theorists. But anyway, and I like how this WAPO article uses the same picture of Pence twice. They couldn't find another picture, WAPO. Anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, real quick, I just want to speed through another thing, which was the WallStreetJournal.com. DeVos resigned after she believed 25th Amendment taken off the table. Have you been following this DeVos thing?
A little bit. I mean, I'm not
really
super
strange.
into the politics, but not surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. So, of course, DeVos is just in this group of basically, I heard it described once as the rats jumping off the ship. Yeah. So this is a quick one. I'll just zoom through. Former U.S. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos decided to resign after it became clear that to her that invoking the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump wasn't an option, an administration official told the Wall Street Journal on Friday. Senator Elizabeth Warren, in a tweet Thursday, accused Mrs. DeVos of quitting rather than supporting efforts to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove Mr. Trump. Oh, Wall Street Journal. Mr. Trump, not President Trump. Interesting. A Trump administration official disputed Mrs. Warren's claim. Quote, when it became very clear that the 25th was not an option, this was the strongest stance Mrs. DeVos could take to uphold her oath to defend the Constitution, the official said. The strongest stance to defend the Constitution is to quit her job. I always think that's funny. Some administration officials have had preliminary discussions about the 25th Amendment, according to a senior administration official and others familiar with the matter. However, any move to remove Mr. Trump, not President Trump, is unlikely to happen so close to the inauguration, and neither Mr. Pence nor any cabinet members have expressed support for such a move. The 25th Amendment says that if the vice president and a majority of the officers of the sitting cabinet secretaries decide that the president is unable to do the duties of his office, the vice president can immediately take on duties of acting president. To officially remove the president, Congress would then vote, and 2/3 of each chamber would be required to officially remove the president. If that threshold isn't reached, the president resumes office. So there you go. Betsy DeVos resigned because President Trump did not get 25th.
Well, yeah, again, to this narrative of, the rats jumping off the ship, there's also all the censorship going on, Facebook, Twitter. Obviously they censored Trump, and now General Flynn's account has been suspended. And so, again, we'll see what happens in the next few days, but should Trump actually pull the trigger on the Insurrection Act, then you can expect some internet blackouts and cyber pandemic stuff. I'm not. I don't think that would be a surprise, especially with all the censorship already happening.
Well, the interesting thing. Sorry to interrupt, but before you get too far into the Insurrection Act,
you want to look at it?
What?
No, go ahead.
It's the interesting thing with the 25th Amendment is I believe that it is a temporary thing. I don't think that it's a permanent removal of the president. It's happened throughout the history of the United States. Recently, George W. Bush had some, I think he had some surgeries or something, so he put Cheney in charge, and it's usually for a short period of time.
A few days,
I don't know if it's ever happened permanently, and I don't know if it can happen permanently. But moving into this zone, this weird last 2 weeks of the Trump administration's time, the trying to impeach him now is just sort of. I think they just want to keep insulting him. That's kind of what it seems.
Yeah, that's possible, but
it's like a personal thing.
I think they're trying to hedge their bets too. They don't want him to actually hit the insurrection button.
Well, I think that's the only other. I think that's the only other thing that makes sense.
It's his last move, and so according to policy.defense.gov, it says wherever there is an insurrection in any state against its government, the president may, upon the request of its legislator or of its governor, if the legislature cannot be convened, call into federal service such of the militia of the other states in the number requested by that state, and use such of the armed forces as he considers necessary to suppress the insurrection. Use of military and armed forces to enforce federal authority. Again, anytime there's a president, the president considers that unlawful obstructions, combinations, or assemblages or rebellion against the authority of the United States make it impracticable to enforce the law of the United States in any state by the ordinary course of judicial proceedings, which is, again, any ordinary course of judicial proceedings is everything he's tried to do thus far. He may call into federal service such of the militia of any state and use such of the armed forces as he considers necessary to enforce those laws or to suppress the rebellion. So, given that we've been hearing all about the, China involved and Germany and Frankfurt and all this kind of stuff, Trump can say we're under foreign attack and pull it off. But again, I don't know if he's going to.
Can he do it with domestic? Does he need a foreign actor?
I don't necessarily think he does, but it just says any obstruction, any unlawful obstruction. So I think it can be anybody. But again, you mentioned how this sets a bad precedence in the future should things flip around. It's the other way around, let's say, for future presidents to consider that we have unlawful obstruction. We have anarchists and libertarians are trying to uphold the Constitution. Well, they wouldn't, the language would probably be the other way around. Like, oh, they're trying to ruin the Constitution. But it's just interesting when you read through this because it's, again, it's Trump's last play. Will he do it? We'll have to see.
How long does that take? What does it take? Is that something he can just say?
I think
like, is it just a thing he can do on a
I think it's a thing he can do. I saw some right-wing people that are on Trump's camp or in Trump's corner say that I think it was the Navy. It was either the Navy or the Army, probably the Navy. Had put out a message saying like all systems go, which was they alluded back to some old Q post. Like, all systems go, ready to go. If we need to arrest and we need to, confiscate the voting machines and all that, we can, Trump can go in there and do it. So
right.
We'll have to see how it all plays out. But that's, I think that's the last play for right now. And then we'll
say we're running out of time.
Right.
All this secret cracking Trump's genius stuff is
70 chess.
Yeah. What do we got? It's the 20th. 12 days. We've got 12 days. Well, as we've learned this last year, and especially in 2021, a lot can happen in 12 days. I'll give them that.
12 days is a long time, and now they have a fence, a 7-foot tall fence. Will surround the Capitol for at least 30 days. So
they put up a wall.
They put up a wall.
Trump finally got his wall.
He got his wall
in the wrong spot.
And also, you had mentioned the United Nations coming out saying, "Hey, when do we get to?"
I loved this. Do you want to pull up that tweet real quick?
Yeah, I have it here. It's United Nations. Who decides when and where a new UN peacekeeping operation is formed?
This came out the morning after, Wednesday, the morning after the siege on the Capitol. And I thought it was funny. I just randomly followed the UN, like all the UN accounts recently, just so I could get the updates on the New World Order. Yeah. And the day after this, they put out a thing like, how do we decide when to send in peacekeepers? Let's tell you how. And they put out this article in this tweet. So it kind of felt like a veiled threat.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other people that did sort of the same thing was China.
Yes.
And this is a Quartz article. What China is saying about the pro-Trump insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. And I thought it was interesting that they would use the word insurrection. And you see a lot of articles use that word, the Trump insurrection at the U.S. Capitol.
Yeah.
Almost like they're trying to bury the idea of
it was worse than Pearl Harbor, didn't you know?
Well, and I thought
a podium was stolen, Gons.
But basically, the story is that the Chinese offered the peacekeepers to come help with the transition. And it's like, all right, okay, China, right. We know you're in control of this country now. You and all the socialists taking over all the branches of government. So,
I don't know if we talked about it much when it happened, but there was something about how China was sending troops to Canada to train in cold weather warfare.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Remember that? And so I haven't looked into it much, but I saw some people, Canadian listeners, talking about how China was using this as a way to stage troops north of America.
Yeah, maybe. I'm curious what the QAnon folks are going to start saying if Biden gets inaugurated. Like what's the play now? Is it 2024 Trump or?
Yeah, it turns to 2024, or who knows? Maybe they'll wait for something to overturn the Biden presidency in a couple months or something on the Ides of March, perhaps.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the next president, number 46 of the United States.
I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn turn. Blonde in the sun, and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And I tell you what, the men, they're now all men, the guys I work with down here, and they're all guys at the time. They're all good men. Most of them made an awful lot of themselves. And Earl Larkin had a rough time. And some of you knew Earl. I sit on the...
Okay, so
Some of you knew Earl.
some of you knew Earl.
Oh, Earl.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Okay. Well, there we go. There's a lot of other, obviously, we didn't cover everything that's happened in the past couple days, but that's at least a way to update ourselves on stuff that's a little bit more solid. Of course, there's lots of, oh man, the videos and the articles getting sent to us, Gonzo. There's quite the selection of theories of things going on.
Passionate people.
Okay, somebody just sent us. We're doing a show. I can't watch a video while we're okay. Thank you for the video, but it's 52 minutes long. I'll have to save this for later. I can't do this live on the show.
What is it? What's the...
Well, somebody in the chat said they had something very important for us to look at. And I gave them the email, and they sent it, and it's a 52-minute video. I can't do anything with that right now. We'll have to wait for that later.
Right. Sounds good. Let's do, because we're pretty close to start, wrapping it up. Because
Tim Alberino time.
Tim Alberino time. So we'll get through some of our regularly scheduled programming here.
Yes.
Thank some people, and then we'll get to Tim Alberino. But let's do a Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, for those who are new to the show, the Flippy update. Flippy is the colloquial name we have for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to explore how robots and AI are I choked on myself, are taking over the world, and there's nothing we can do about it. Today, I'm coming from slashgear.com, and I thought this was pretty fascinating, Gons. The headline is Self-Repairing Ice Robots May Be Perfect for Exploring Other Planets. A major challenge when it comes to using robots to explore other planets is keeping them operating when there's no way to repair them on Earth. Researchers at the GRASP lab in the University of Pennsylvania have conducted what they call very preliminary work on robots made from ice that can repair themselves. The team, including Devin Carroll and Mark Yim, notes they have only begun exploring the possibility of making robots from ice. Building robots from ice is a serious challenge, no kidding. But scientists believe ice exists on most planets, making it an abundant building material. Some things can't be created from ice, such as batteries and electronic components, yet. One big benefit of using ice for structural components of robots is that it's easily modified using heat, and it can be cut and sculpted. Ice can also be easily attached to itself. The paper written by the researchers looks at multiple ways of manufacturing robot structural components from ice using additive and subtractive manufacturing processes. The research aims to demonstrate concepts for robots able to self-reconfigure, self-replicate, and self-repair. One discovery made by the team on the subject so far is that the most efficient and effective method of creating robot components from ice is simply using a drill. Ooh, science, everyone. Just use a drill to make a robot. One potential challenge is figuring out what to do with shavings and wastewater, etc., etc. So I thought this was pretty interesting. In this age where there's a lot of exploration in amorphous robots, soft robotics, self-propelled transformer robots made from nanoparticles and materials. They're finally like, let's just make it from ice. There's ice everywhere. So Flippy's getting kind of chilly.
Yep. There's a lot of people in the chat saying ice, ice, robot, ice, ice, baby. Yeah. Well,
Ice Flippy.
it's a chilly robot.
Yeah, it's just interesting because as just to compare it or to attach it to the robo threat that we're all experiencing as we move into the future. Robots who are able to build themselves being a big issue, and resources become a big issue at that point. But if they are able to build themselves from ice, there's nothing we can do. We're all doomed.
Yeah, they can survive any type of condition. If it's cold, they can build themselves from ice. If it's hot, maybe they can, I don't know, mold lava or
build
something.
Themselves out of fire.
Yeah,
fire bots.
Yeah. Okay, so
right.
That's your Flippy update. Got a few updates of my own to get through, and we will call it an episode and bring in Tim on another stream here.
Sounds good.
Interrupt this broadcast to give you a brief update. By the end of this timely interruption, you will be thoroughly updated.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
33 is the Illuminati dog whistle. They love the number 33 on all kinds of media. Reuters.com. China reports 33 new COVID-19 cases versus 33 a day earlier.
Oh, wow. Double 33.
That's a lot of 33s. Mainland China reported 33 new COVID-19 cases on January 4th, matching the count from the day before, which is also 33. A lot of 33 there, China. And that's it. That's the update. This one,
a good update.
This one is, it says that you want it. Do you want to do this one?
Which one? Oh, yeah. Beep, 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 beep system. Yeah, this was actually a big one. Unilag.co.uk, British scientists developing world's first COVID-19 vaccine smart patch. It's the smart patch, Gons. Scientists from Swansea University in Wales are striving to develop the first coronavirus vaccine smart patch. The patch will use microneedles to both administer the coronavirus vaccine and monitor its efficacy for the patient by tracking the body's immune response. The research team plans to develop a prototype by the end of March in the hope that it can be put towards clinical trials and ultimately released to the public. I like how released, like they're letting a tiger out of the cage, as part of the effort to tackle the coronavirus outbreak. Scientists at Swansea's Impact Research Center hope to carry out human clinical studies in partnership with Imperial College London with the aim of making the device commercially available within 3 years. So they're planning on having to give vaccines for at least 3 years, over 3 years.
Hey, before you go on here, hold on. Did my Twitter account get shut down?
I don't know. Let me go look. What'd you do, Gons?
I don't know. I got a message from Tim Kilkenny just now, and he says that he pulled up my account here, and it says "Face Like the Sun" does not exist.
No, you
Basil
exist.
too. Maybe
you're here for me.
Okay.
I can see you.
All right. What
Maybe
about
he's
people in the chat? Maybe he put on a VPN.
Yeah. You
can't look
set
us
your
up at
VPN
work
to China.
Can't look us up at work, Tim.
No, we're not safe for work.
Yeah.
Using polycarbonate or silicon millimeter long microneedles, the smart patch can penetrate the skin to administer a vaccine. It can be held in place with a strap or tape for up to 24 hours, during which time it simultaneously measures the patient's inflammatory response to the vaccination by monitoring biomarkers in the skin. Once the vaccine has been administered, the device is scanned to produce a data reading that can provide an understanding about the efficacy of the vaccine and the body's response to it. Those involved with the project received Welsh government and European funding as part of the global response to overcome the coronavirus pandemic. Those scientists hope the smart patch could also be used to treat other infectious diseases, the BBC reports. And then it kind of just goes on. But this was interesting, Gons, because this is, we in our sort of journey to try to be rational about the mark of the beast. There's a lot of people talking about luciferase being in the vaccine, which it is not. That is involved with the quantum dot tattoos. But this patch is one step towards the quantum dot tattoos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, not that, quantum dot stuff has been around for a long time.
Right.
And this type of technology has been around for a long time, but to actually, we've been discussing it, and I guess it's just another one of those.
Called it.
Because we didn't say, because we were saying that this alleged vaccine that they're putting out there, the mRNA, that's not what this is. But now that they're putting it out there, I mean, here it is. Not really surprising, but just don't get it. I mean, I don't recommend people get this thing.
They make this thing so scary looking. It's got, it's got tiny little spikes, but they take such a close-up picture. They look like giant spikes.
There's just a whole bunch of pyramids going right into your vein.
Oh, the pyramids, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Got a few more updates real quick.
Don't care.
Yeah, a couple more updates. Yeah, see, I told Tim, turn off your VPN, and he had his VPN turned on. So whatever VPN he's using doesn't want us to be shared on it. But there you go. Good. Sorry, Tim. We're still here. But let's see, real quick.
CRISPR. Cas9.
This is sciencemag.org. Can't scroll website. Okay. Incredible gene editing result in mice inspires plans to treat premature aging syndrome in children. So it says here, one mouse is hunched over, graying, and barely moves at 7 months old. Others at 11 months have sleek black coats and run around. The video and other results from a new study have inspired hope for treating children born with progeria, a rare fatal genetic disease that causes symptoms much like early aging. In mice with the progeria, is it progeria or progeria? Progeria causing mutation. A cousin of the celebrated genome editor known as CRISPR corrected the DNA mistake, preventing the heart damage typical of the disease, a research team reports told Nature. So basically, again, CRISPR technology correcting DNA mistakes. And this is more of the beginning of genetic manipulation and DNA change. Is first it's correcting things, and then once they start correcting things, then it opens the Pandora's box in terms of, well, let's just add a few things. Instead of just correcting, let's enhance. And that's when you start talking about the parabolic move towards post-human or non-human, transhuman, where we no longer are part of the way we were designed, and we're more so something else that maybe become irredeemable. So another development in CRISPR tech. And so I think something like this is way more in terms of DNA manipulation than the vaccines as they currently are, at least with the mRNA literature there. So just something to keep in mind. And what we're all going to have to do is find our apocalypse shelters.
Yeah.
And that's what Basil has for us here, zerohedge.com.
Welcome to Basil's Bunker, everybody. Zerohedge.com. You can now buy a tiny bulletproof home for the apocalypse. Oh, there's music to my ears. Whether it is the apocalypse or the U.S.'s more immediate socioeconomic collapse sparked by the coronavirus pandemic, demand for doomsday bunkers has exploded. While only the ultra-wealthy can afford luxury doomsday condos buried hundreds of feet below the surface in old missile silos, millennials, who are mostly broke, that's true, have very little options to protect themselves from surging violence across major metros. Until now, already popular among the millennial generation are tiny homes. No thanks to the Federal Reserve, who has unleashed a massive housing bubble this year, sending affordability to decade lows. Zero Hedge, they love throwing in little jabs to the Federal Reserve or whoever needs it.
Yeah.
This has allowed Argentina-based tiny home builder Grandio to design and build prefab concrete tiny homes that cost around $75,000. And also, these homes are bulletproof. Quote, "We are only in the early stages of our sales and marketing activities, but the interest we are getting from prospective buyers and partners is outstanding, with requests flowing in every day," Jose Martin, an architect at Grandio, told Business Insider. Martin said much of the inquiries for the tiny bulletproof home are coming from North America. No surprise there. Comes at a time when the pandemic has unleashed a socioeconomic bomb across major metros as hundreds of thousands of people living in cities rush to rural areas to escape the chaos. In November, Wall Street Journal noted that tiny home sales are increasing as people look for refuge during the coronavirus pandemic. Besides doomsday bunkers, it appears tiny bulletproof homes could be the next big trend as America, in less than 1 year, has transformed into a chaotic mess because of the virus pandemic. So there you go, Gons. You can get a tiny little indestructible home.
You know, the one thing that I would like to have, not just an indestructible home, I want these homes to have giant robot legs so that I can move. You know,
so it can wander around,
wander off. Yeah, because if your
like
location,
moving castle type thing.
Yes, well, that's like a floating thing, but yeah, well, I guess it's got legs.
It walks. It's got
little
legs.
It walks too, but yeah, I guess. If something goes down, you need to change locations. You can just get on up, get those Hyundai legs.
Yes, the new Boston Dynamics Hyundai walking bulletproof home.
Yeah, Biden's hairy legs. Okay. All right.
Just imagine a concrete box with Biden hairy legs sticking out the bottom.
Jeez. All right. One last thing here very quickly, and this will set us up for our conversation with Tim Alberino. This is ScreenRant.com. DC just created their version of Marvel's most secret society. And so in the mid-2000s, Marvel introduced the Illuminati, a group of Marvel heavy hitters who met in secret and protected the Earth from various threats. And now
they're the good guys.
Yeah, well, obviously, you know what this is when they use keywords like that. What they're trying to do is throw off any kind of legitimate search for those topics. Marvel comes up with their Illuminati, and then you have all these people looking it up, and all you get is the Marvel Illuminati, not the real one. The same thing with like Lucifer, the TV show. Right. You want to do some, research on Lucifer. The first few Google searches is all going to be about that TV show. You're not going to really get to dig in too deep. So it's all word conquering.
It's SEO. It's all SEO, baby.
The conclusion of Dark Knight's death metals saw the multiverse reborn and new threats emerge. A new team is needed to protect Earth. Enter the Totality. It all goes down in Dark Knight's Death Metal #7 by writer Scott Snyder and artist Greg Capullo, along with the team of today's hottest artists. So the Marvel has the Illuminati, and now DC has the Totality.
The Totality.
The Totality. Their secret society.
Yeah, DC just keeps getting better and better, huh?
Yeah. Well, either way, this is very... DC versus Marvel, they make it seem like, competition, but ultimately I think both of them have the same agenda.
Yeah.
Same mind control propaganda machinery. So, all right, we gotta wrap things up and thanks some people real quick. So we'll go into a break.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okay, folks, we are going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because afterwards we got Tim Alberino. But we want to take a second and thank some of our producers of the show. That's right. This is not just some cute gimmick. These are people who are very important to the continuation of the show, and it's because we're on the value for value model. To keep the rant short this time, I think we can all agree that advertising is one big reason for all the negative parts of the internet and society today. It's advertising was literally explicitly the reason for big data gathering, for privacy concerns, for censoring, all of the things that are wrong with the internet and parts of the world are because of advertising. And that's why we decided we will not participate. We take no corporate money, no money from advertising agencies. We don't even get money from YouTube or anybody like that. So we are entirely funded by listeners of the show, and they're not just listeners, they become producers. So there's a few ways to do that. One of them is by going to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT. And only one active piece of activity over there, and that is an upgraded producership by Producer Malik. So thank you very much, Producer Malik.
Thank you, Producer Malik.
Yes, Malik has decided to increase his rebellion against the global theology of advertising, which is closely and explicitly tied in with mind control and worldview building by major corporations who control the structures of how you perceive the world. Next, we have canarycryradio.com/support. canarycryradio.com/support. That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is a wonderful place to become a producer of the show. You can come in with monthly producerships, or if commitment is not your thing, you can go ahead and make a one-time producership in any amount you like. There's also cryptocurrency and a lot of great literature about the value for value system and why it's actually a rebellion. Not only is it rebellion against sort of the new world order of the technocracy, but it's also it's just ethical. You know, it's a way for producers to determine the value of the media that they love. No longer do you need to let a big corporation, whether it's a tech company like YouTube or an advertising agency, to set a value on the media that you prefer to intake. But, you know, if you don't like it and you don't want to take responsibility, go ahead and go watch CNN or Fox and get advertised some pharmaceuticals. But if you don't think that that's good for you or the world, become a producer at canarycryradio.com/support. Gons, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
PayPal, we have Sir Jason. Oh, sorry, not Sir Jason. Read the wrong one. That's the knight that we're knighting. We have Paul coming in. Paul, thank you, Producer Paul.
Thank you very much, Paul.
And, interesting.
Producer
we also have Producer Saul.
Yes.
Saul
Producer
and
Saul.
Paul. Yeah,
thank you very
up.
much, Producer Saul.
And we are executive producer for the episode, Producer Allison. Thank you, Producer Allison.
Thank you.
She says, "Hi, Basil and Gons. I've been listening to your show for some time now, and I wanted to send you my tithe so you can keep the show going. You both do an amazing job, and I look forward to each new show." So there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Producer Allison. It's very generous. And you are the executive producer for today's show, Canary Cry News Talk, episode 284.
Yes. And do you want to do this knighting real quick, and then we can wrap it up?
Let's do it. That's right. We have a night of the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. For those who don't know, the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames is a exclusive club, secret society of Canary Cry producers who have supported the show over the years in the amount of $1,000 or more. And we have a new knight, folks. And that is Sir Jason, Knight of the Anti-Foobar, because there's enough messed up things in the world without knowing Jesus has this under control. So let me bring out my blade here, Gons.
Very nice. I have my my katana.
Very nice. Okay, we want to call up Sir Jason. Please step forward to the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames, where we have a seat for you. Thanks to your generous support in the amount of $1,000 or more, we are proud to pronounce you Knight of the Canary Cry Roundtable. You shall now be known as Sir Jason, Knight of the Anti-Foobar at the Canary Cry Roundtable, where we have the belt of truthful truthiness, breastplate of righteous righteousness, custom-fit Birkenstocks to carry forth the gospel of peace, the shield of ferocious faith, the helmet of substantiating salvation, the supernatural sword of the Spirit, and of course, adorable samurai babies, infinitely cute kitties for cuddling, and if you're hungry, we have fancy feast, wet food, carved Cosmo the CRISPR cow, and of course, fried wormicorns. Welcome to the Canary Cry Knights and Dames Roundtable, Sir Jason, Knight of the Anti-Foo Bar. Congratulations! And I'm looking out over the crowd here, and everybody is standing in applause, Sir Jason.
Very good. Thank you, Producer Jason. Sorry, I'm looking up something real quick because producer in the chat was saying that they sent us some Bitcoin, so we will take a look at that.
Thank you, anonymous Bitcoin producer.
Yes, so we'll thank you probably in the next episode. Well, it's somewhat anonymous, so it's kind of hard to keep track of who's sending it to us.
Yeah, you can send us an email if you want us to give you credit for that.
Yeah, thank you for that. And the only other thing to mention here, and we got to get off because we got to get Tim on, is Canary Cry. Oh, we got to do the art and the jingles. Should we save that for the next episode?
You know, we are just running so late that I think we should do that. We don't want to keep Tim waiting too long.
Yeah. So thank you, artists and jingle makers. We will thank you in the next episode, which will be Monday, right? Monday the 11th?
Oh, yes. Yep, Monday the 11th. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I was distracted by something. Yes, so there you go. We'll be back January 11th on Monday with another episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure to like the YouTube video here. Now, I do want to say, before people keep moving on too fast, we will be beginning our interview with Tim Alberino in about, I would say, realistically, about 5-10 minutes once this is done. So if you're on Twitch, just stay right where you are. If you're on YouTube, you're going to want to go back to either the Canary Cry Radio channel or the Face Like the Sun channel and just wait for the broadcast to come up and click on that and jump on there. We had some questions about that last time, so just to help. So remember, you can become a producer. We're going to need producers for Monday's show. You can head to patreon.com/CCNT or canarycryradio.com/support.
Oh, that's me.
That's you.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. So you can go there, become a producer, and help keep the show going. We can only do it with the help of our producers. But you can help out the show in a lot of other ways. We do, on a usual day, we will have art and jingles and music that are created by our producers to help produce the show. And so if you're an artist or a musician, you can create show-themed pieces of art or music and send them to canarycryradio@gmail.com. And if that's not your thing, you can also help out the show by sharing it or leaving a rating and review. That's also helps out the show quite a bit, and it just lets people know what you think of the show, and you can it helps out the algorithms. Again, it's all about those algos, baby. It tells the algos to share the show with people who have not heard it before. Other than that, share the show on your social media. You got friends, you got family. They're starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. And if they need a little help with that, send them an episode of our show. And they will be very grateful. And we'll be grateful to have them listen as well. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Okay, folks. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We'll be back on January 11th. That's Monday. Make sure to be there. But until then, think outside the cage.
Everybody loves waffles.
Called it.
The truth. Better, bigger, tastier.
A man and a woman.
Science is truth.
We should invite fewer people to be born.
Look it up.
We will launch a new age.
Everybody loves waffles.
It will kill.
Liar!
Aliens. 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 Aliens.
It's true.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Bye, gold. Bye!